I'm Spence Graham, chairman of the Digital Signage Federation, and you're watching and listening to the AV Life.
I'm Murphy Daly, IT project manager and AV veteran, and you're joining us for the AV Life.
Greetings from Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC, and you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey, James here. I'm writer for the Higher Ed AV Digital Magazine, IT in AV column, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert at the AV Life Pod, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're actually listening to us or watching us on the podcast. Welcome to the AV Life. We have a great slew of guests here with us tonight, and our crew is here as well. How are we all doing tonight?
Hanging in there.
Good.
Good. Yeah, we're doing good. It's been actually, you know what? I'm going to do it. We're talking about weather real quick here in New Jersey.
Yep.
It's absolutely beautiful here in New Jersey. This has been a great week. I've been in my shorts. I've been in my flip-flops. It's been awesome. So
I've been on the soccer field all weekend and then even tonight. It's great weather.
Yes. So I'm looking forward. I have a wedding tomorrow, or I would have, as you're listening to this, I was at a wedding on Friday. So I will fill everybody in on that when I get back out of that, and then going right into T-ball on Saturday with my son. So this is a great, I'm like, it's like a normal weekend, you know, and it feels really good about that.
Yeah. Make you happy.
So,
Normal.
so let me, as I was just telling everybody before, we are putting the final nail in this AV and IT conversation as far as the AV Life is concerned. We are, after today, this is it. We came to that. I think we came to a good final answer 2 weeks ago when we brought in Aaron and Will, and we had them on, and I think we really kind of hashed out everything. But this week, we got some great guests who I know have good opinions in what we are trying to finalize here. So I'm going to start with the lady of our guests, Miss Michelle Lorette. How are you, Michelle?
I'm wonderful. Did you put air quotes around lady? I'm just asking.
No, I kept my hands down. So, but you are the female guest of our, if you want me to clarify that,
it's all good. I think yes, that's true. I'm not a male French Michel. I am an American Michel.
We are happy
yes, welcome back to the AV Life, Michelle.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, we do enjoy having you here, Michelle. It's you're a longtime friend of the AV Life, and we want to keep having you back. So
it's always good to come back home. Absolutely. It's really nice to be amongst such a great panel of people, both cast and crew. So I love it.
Michelle, just for maybe the few people that don't know who you are, could you give a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Michelle Lorette. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No, I'm not going to go there. I am the co-host of the Mostly AV podcast, which is not as consistent as the AV Life podcast. I am also a regional sales manager for Kramer Electronics, a job that I have enjoyed for over a year now. And I had a really amazing pandemic year. I started right as things went into shutdown, flew to New Jersey, Tim, on February 29th. It was a leap
in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey.
I did a one and back, right? Same day. I got the job. Yay. I was also offended they were interviewing other people. I was like, what? Other people flew in? I was the last candidate. I was like, don't they know who I am? No, they didn't know who I am. Who the hell are you? But somehow I still nailed it. And they've been wonderful. I am a regional sales manager for Kramer. And I'm also the newest member of the Avixa Diversity Council, which I'm really excited to be part of. Yay.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, and again, welcome back. And
thanks for having me.
Next up, Mr. Rich Ventura. How are you, Rich?
Doing great. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad. I was gonna say you've had yourself quite a I don't know, year. So
It's
think?
a small, really
Yeah.
really tiny year.
well, they start really tiny. So-
Yes, they do.
Tell us a little bit about yourself for the people that are unfamiliar with you.
I am the chief bottle washer, and no, I am very fortunate and blessed to lead an amazing organization at Sony, focused on B2B commercial sales for North America. I've been there, it'll be almost a year. I got about a little over a month to go to make it a year. And I've also been very fortunate and blessed to have an addition to our family last year with our baby girl. So I'm a newer dad, about 8 months into it, and so far learning as I go.
And she's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Baby
She's,
Well, that's what we all
She is.
do. That's what we all did, Rich. You know, I did the same thing with my little guy. Well, he's not little anymore. He's 6 years old, and he is a little ball of energy. But yeah, that's how I felt when I was, raising my little guy. It was like, and my wife too. It's like sometimes you think you got it under control, but then other times it's
Yep.
just organized chaos, I guess is probably the best way of putting it.
Well, I
So-
jokingly tell everybody, it's kind of nice having the security in life we have today, but I wish I had the energy I had in my 20s.
And
But she is, she's amazing. But the other thing that I've also been fortunate to have over the years is a lot of my engagement and activity with the Digital Signage Federation, Avixa, ICX. You've done a list of a lot of the trade associations, and really having a lot of involvement and helping support the industry over the years, both actively as a mentor and then just working with a lot of the people through these associations.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's just say, you've been everywhere, Rich. I feel like so. There's a lot of people out there for
I
that.
think it's
that know
honing the
of-
pandemic.
there's only one RV.
Yeah,
you
there
know?
is one
Yeah.
here.
That's the truth.
Yeah,
That might
That
be,
is
that's
true.
a good thing that there's only one of me.
that's
As-
right.
yeah.
As we
We
jokingly
can't
said,
take-
when we found out we were having a baby girl, I'm like, oh, thank goodness, not another RV coming to the world.
God gives us what we can handle,
Yeah.
Rich. All right.
Exactly.
I'll agree with that one. I think there's enough of me to go around.
Exactly.
And last and certainly not least, he came in here just as we were getting started. So good timing on this. Frank Pedicala, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. How are you, Tim?
Not too bad. And I just realized I'm like, I just spit out your last name and I'm not even sure if I did it right. So I
did it
apologize.
fine.
Okay.
You
Okay,
actually
good.
did. You nailed it. Like,
Yes,
like
indeed.
an
Well, and I'll tell you,
Olympian.
when,
Don't
You were
think
the
when he was-
Olga Corbett of Paticalca
Okay, this-
on that.
That's a wrap.
Boom.
That's a wrap.
that's
I
it.
know.
I did
Done.
it right. That's it. So,
Episode over.
Well, it's-
No AV over IT.
well, it's funny when we when we had Frank on, I don't know, what was it, like 2 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
wanted to make sure I said it right. Like that was like,
It matters.
and to me it matters. Yeah,
It's-
because I know I have
I
have one of
appreciate
those
that.
last yeah, and
I've had it butchered in so many different ways. I'm not even flustered by it anymore. But when people make the effort, thank you. I appreciate that.
well, because I have one of those last names. Like it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I have all the extra vowels, and people go, "Oh man, how do you,
Oh,
how do you
man.
say that?" And I'm like, "No,
We'll just
it's
call you Tim. you know?
right." Exactly, it's fine.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, Frank has let it slide when I've called him Paticalca, which is not the pronunciation of his name. And my husband's last name, Exley. They're the Kentucky Exleys. Starts with an O and an E, the double vowel start of
Ooh.
a last name.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you
Oh.
wonder why I didn't change my last name. That the
Mm.
double vowel.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So Frank, for those who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, give us a little, and I know you have some more recent information about what you're up to lately. So introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. My name is Frank Paticala. I used to work at Diversified, but about a month ago, I joined the wonderful team at Panasonic. I am their Kairos solution architect. Kairos is a line of products that is specifically IT IP based. So I kind of fit right in there. And so that's my latest news. Otherwise, you'll see me a lot on Twitter. I have a podcast too. I do the IT Factor, but like Michelle said, I'm also becoming a little inconsistent because it's really hard to manage all these things at the same time. So kudos for you guys to keep doing this regularly. That's, it
Yes.
is a commitment right there. So amazing job
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I'm around. You'll see me somewhere. Right? I'd like to stay active.
Yeah. Frank was hanging out with some other New Jersey based AV tweeps the other day or
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
It
they
was
did.
One of the nine, one of the nine as well.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jen Steinhardt with
Yep.
us.
Ah,
She's
love me
a
some
Jen
New Jersey.
Jen.
and Jason. We
two of my favorites.
it was good. It was weird though. It's my first time going to a restaurant in public since the whole thing began, and it
Mhm.
was exciting. It's like, how do we do this? What do I do? And
Did y'all dine indoor or outdoor?
it was outdoors.
Oh, you
It's
did
outdoor,
dine outdoor.
yeah.
Did you wear a
Yeah.
mask or until the food came or
Yeah,
drinks?
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Are you vaccinated? Am I allowed to ask that? It's not a HIPAA violation. Twitter told me
No.
so.
That's right.
I am.
Oh, we believe everything on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of people do. Cool.
So, all right. Well, and not that I want to bring down the mood, but it has to be recognized. We lost one of our very big personality AV tweeps this week, Mr. John Green. Also a very long-term friend of the AV life as well. Had a very courageous battle with cancer. And I would be amiss of not mentioning him here tonight. Just very briefly, I don't want to bring down the mood, but John was a bigger than life personality that everyone would ever remember and had an impact on so many. Even he was trying to get back here to the AV life as well. That's how much he enjoyed being here with us. But he just he just kept trying and he just couldn't. So I'm sending all best wishes to his family in this time, and to all of us friends that are out there. We'll never forget you, John.
That's right.
So,
Right.
Good job, Tim.
yeah. So, all right. Well, okay. That's it. I've already brought Michelle to tears, and I'm sorry, Michelle. So yeah. So anyway, all right. So, like I said, we're gonna do the PM minute with Murphy, and then we're gonna put the AV and IT discussion to bed, and that's gonna be it. So Murphy, you're muted, but go ahead when you're unmuted.
Oh my goodness.
There you are.
You said it's a hard out today because you got stuff. But
Yeah. I know. I'm pushing the accelerator on this one a little bit tonight, but after the hour and 45-minute episode last week, I think we
Ooh.
could give people an hour and 15
Fun.
tonight, and it'd be okay.
On the whole. Okay, so the PM minute. I want to say, with your projects and in life, as is the case with all my PM minutes, they pretty much apply everywhere. Like to say, everything is written in sand. You don't know for sure what's going to happen. You make your plans and you keep aiming towards it, but it's written in sand and it blows away. You got to pull it all back together and keep going. This is not it's not solid. That's why you have to stay on it the whole time. That's why you have to be clear on what your goal is and what you're trying to do. And you have to communicate with everybody, and you have to keep coming back because everything is subject to change. It's written in sand.
Mhm. See, and that's why I like now that we have shared documents so much more accessible than they used to be, that everything can be fluid and move along with the project. So that's
And that's the beauty of unified communication, that part of it, documents.
yes, agreed, very much so.
Mhm.
That's Yeah, and you see it that the people that are probably most successful as project managers are the ones that can go with the flow. They're organized balls of fluid. Is that a
Wow.
way of putting it?
Yeah.
I kind of think of it as resiliency. Like you can go, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. No, because we come in like, this is what's happening and this is what we're doing. And then they go, no, you're not, because that just destroyed itself and lit itself on fire. You're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing and this is what we're doing.
Constantly recreating yourself
Yes.
in that respect.
Yeah. So I mean, just because it's written in sand doesn't mean you give up, but you just
Mhm.
got to keep making it happen. So that's what I got for you today, guys.
Love
Very
it.
good. Yeah. Any other comments from the peanut gallery towards Murphy's
A big moment of silence. here,
PM?
guys.
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, I totally agree. She's right. It's hard. I've been trying to practice being more duck-like. And one of my coworkers like, what the hell does that mean? And I was like, well, I got to let it roll off my back. I'm not good at that.
Okay, all right. That's
Sorry.
one. That's
Oh
one,
boy.
Michelle.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's written in sand is very much the living document, right?
Mm.
Like that's the thing. It's always evolving. We're not chiseling this into stone. It's going to constantly evolve. And yeah, you got to be able to roll with that. And I think that's something that, we're in active electronics. So it sounds so sexy. And, I've got a new VC owner and a bunch of people that are very smart at what they do, but they aren't AV subject matter experts like the rest of my panel. And I have to remind them, we're really in the construction industry. I know y'all don't know this, but for what we do, for my segment in Pro AV, I'm not in live events, right? Or some of the other segments that do, represent the total ball. Yeah, we're in the construction industry. We're part and parcel of that. And we're not banking. There's no French cuffs. There's no cuff links. There's a lot of cussing and discussing. There's a lot of pressure. Stuff rolls downhill. Yeah. So, it can be very stressful. So it sounds great to say, oh, we're in AV and electronics. And I love it. But yeah, it still comes down to how do we get the stuff installed?
So AV is construction on top
We're
of
part
IT.
of construction. Yeah, absolutely.
AV
Yeah.
and IT and
Ooh.
construction.
Oh, you just added a wrinkle.
Sorry,
wrinkle.
I wasn't.
No,
That was
even
not
I agree with that.
intentional.
No, and I
Okay.
get, yeah, no, and I get
Quickly
where I
agree.
get where she's going.
Right?
Frank.
Roll
So,
with it,
we
Patakala.
gotta roll. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So all right.
So the floor is
Um,
yours, my IT
so,
AV
yeah, so-
people.
All right. So as we've been discussing this month, with the exception of last week, which I applaud everybody, even though we talked about live events, which is probably about as close to
This is
work
awesome.
that we could talk about without
Can't
actually
wait
talking
for it.
about work. That was a great episode. So if you're catching this one and you skipped last week, grab yourself a cup of coffee or whatever you need to power
Love
through
that.
it and watch it. Actually, you should probably watch it on the video on the website on higheredav.com. And
I'll
while
go
you're
back
there,
and
after
watch.
yeah, go watch the video there. You can see all the action that's going on as well. And then you could also check out like James's article and some of the other great content that's up there.
So
So
when I played it back, it reminded me, I'm like, is it always going to be Spence and me and Nancy that are the old people on the show that have all the experiences?
Burnett, not old, seasoned.
you're
Well,
seasoned veteran.
Old and moldy.
I'm somewhat seasoned here too, even though I'm not sales seasoned.
Well, everyone has an awesome amount of experience, and that is why we have everybody come back. So, but we're all getting there. So anyway, so we've been talking about this AV and IT conversation, and I think that's where we stand right now with this conversation, is that AV is in IT. Am I getting a head nod from most people that yes, that's where
You are from me, for those that are listening.
yeah, so
Frank's
I'm
being
getting
hesitant.
nods.
What's going on, Frank?
I want to hear where this ends up.
Okay.
So, all right, so, all right, well,
Frank's doing that little I
I'll-
don't know emoji.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I-
Whatever.
Professor
see this
Frank
play
is
out, you
about to
know?
come out.
so I'm gonna I'm gonna quote James first from his article.
Yes.
It's not if you believe we are IT or if we are not IT. The key is we need to work with and understand IT. So that's
Hmm.
why, and I think that's part of the reason we say AV in IT, not
Right.
that, we are or is IT. It's just we are part of the, and I go back to what James said. You take IT, what is IT? Information technology. And that is what we are doing. We are conveying information. I'm summarizing last week or 2 weeks ago. So that way, for those who are wondering why I'm monologuing so much. And I'm also quoting some things that are in different articles that have come up
Ooh,
on
look at him,
higheredav.com.
research.
Oh,
we
yeah,
love
no,
it when
well,
you
actually,
monologue.
Yeah.
We just mostly want to know, do you have a monitor in portrait mode? That's really the burning
no, I
question.
don't. No, I do everything in
Sponsors.
landscape.
Sponsors. I don't. Do we know anyone that makes
we know anyone?
monitors? I'm asking
I was
for a
just saying, I
friend.
gotta. Well, I do have to get myself set up with a more permanent location though, because I gotta like break all this down and move it out of the way. So I gotta figure
Nice.
that one out next. But that's a whole nother side conversation.
It's another episode.
So from Integrator Insights from Mike Peterson, embrace becoming an IT integrator. Yes, a very specialized IT integrator, an integrator with unique and important skills in optics and acoustics, but an IT integrator nonetheless. So still saying that AV is IT or in IT. And then you're not going to hear this in time, but there would have been a higher ed happy hour this week.
Oh,
So and this, James, and you
Happy
may have
Joe
to,
would
this
tell us
came
about
from, I think this came from Craig's article, the Hetma article.
Yep.
The cliche gets thrown
James knows.
the cliche gets thrown out at it a lot that AV and IT have to play well in this sandbox together. I think that is not the case anymore. AV and IT don't just need to play well. They need to acknowledge they are building the same sandcastle.
Mm,
So
yes.
and speaking of sand, Murphy, so yeah, we're
Oh, I love how you tied that in to the project
Yeah,
management
there.
minute. Oh my God.
Full circle.
Your skills.
Yeah,
are
It's
so
just
good.
after
on fleek.
a while,
The host
after a
with the
while,
most.
wow, I don't think anyone's told me that, Michelle. So that's a very youthful thing to say. So thank you for
I'm
that.
trying not to age out of the industry. I was already aged. I was already over 40 when I joined, so I wasn't eligible for any
All
of
right.
the magazine stuff.
All right, so I'm gonna open up to our guests first. So Frank, it looks like you were waiting, so you have something to add to this. So go ahead, Frank. What do you got to give us here? What words of insight?
I don't think I can add any much than what we've been talking about on this topic for the last decade. I think, it's like this has been going on for a long time. And I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Call it an evolution. But personally, I don't do this argument anymore. Because if you're in a position to say steadfastly and you want to hold on to the line that AV has nothing to do with IT, we're completely different, we are not that, however, whatever camp you want to be. If your job affords you to do that, if your position lets you keep the individuality of whatever it is that you perceive as AV, then so be it. I'm not going to argue with you. It's like, go for it, man. You stay where you want. But the fact of the matter is, we are technology. There's no denying that, everything. And this is something that I spoke to a few friends of mine last week, and I said, we are technology up to the point where we have a project and we're designing it and we're implementing it. Once we're implementing it, we are construction. So we go from technology to construction. So there's no denying it. And if you want to play along with anything in IT, and that is networking or database or cybersecurity or, other technologies like AI or machine learning or the other plethora of different types of technology enhancements that we're seeing today, you have to understand the other side of it. It's basic. You can't
Mhm.
walk into it and say, I'm a specialized. You can't say you're not niche and we handle everything and not know some information on the other side. We have historically learned solutions, products, technologies, even not technologies on the other side of the aisle. We work with construction people, we work with architects, we work with HVAC, we work with everybody.
Mhm.
I don't understand what the hesitancy is for IT. It's just another thing that you have to understand and play well with. And some excellent points. I read James' article. I saw Mike's comments, some great points. And it's sad that we're still trying to convince people that, hey, if you want to stay relevant, you got to learn, you got to understand IT, you got to understand that you're not an individual anymore. You're part of a group, you're part of a
Mhm.
technology blanket. So, you know, I don't even see an argument with this. And the thing is, like, so my current job, I work more on the broadcast side. You'd be surprised how much of IT is there already. It's
Mhm.
already there. I don't have conversations with people saying, oh, there's latency issues. No, we specify the latency. We tell you how much latency there is. We're telling you there's a frame,
Right.
there's a 1 frame latency, there's a 3 frame latency, depending on what
Yeah.
your application is. We tell
Mhm.
them what it is, and they fit and design their application based on the specification. It's not about playing well with the technology. It's about using what's the technology that's available right now. You could still do things analog if you wanted to,
Hmm.
but
I was going to
technology has
say that's
grown.
very digital to say it's
Right.
Yeah,
exactly 3 frames,
yeah,
Right.
Well,
yeah.
ExxonMobil made Clear One, who was their global standard, thanks to my coworker David Traeger, who's also with me at Kramer. uh, they made us guarantee that we wouldn't stop, like, making certain analog product. 2016, right? 16 building campus. They're the most conservative of all the oil and gas companies.
Right.
They were also the last ones to get email. Like, literally, I think there people were having to use AOL like back in '99 and stuff to communicate because people were already using it and they like didn't have a corporate
Wow.
email. I know, but yeah, they were like, we're going analog, right? And then fast forward to Shell, who by their second building or third building on their new campus said, oh, by the way, we're not doing any phones. So you have like the tale of two extremes, right? Like the tale of two cities where one goes one way and one goes another. It's very interesting.
Yeah, completely agreed. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't. There's no need to. Where we at, in my opinion, is people should be learning. We should be adapting. We should be enhancing our skill set. We should be coming out with go for the courses. There's plenty of them available. Realize what you want to specialize in and
Mhm.
enhance your skill set. You could be an AV specialist, but without networking, how much specialist can you be?
Mhm.
Without database,
Yeah.
how much of an AV specialist can you be? So it's
Mhm.
it's intertwined. We're part of a technology blanket right now, and if you're still arguing that no, I want to be who you could be AV. Nobody's saying that we're
Mhm.
going to strip you of your
Right.
identity, and
Right.
nobody's
Yeah.
going to call you a
And
networking guy tomorrow. You're always going to be the AV person,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but
Right.
understanding.
And
Unless you're with a
yeah.
Fortune 500, which they only have a data analyst 2 classification, and
Right.
that's your title.
Right.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
you're like,
exactly.
data
So
analyst
James, yeah.
2.
Right.
All right,
I
James.
think
Yeah, James, and then I want Rich to chime in
Yeah.
a little bit too. So
so. The biggest thing I've been gathering from this argument, I'm with Frank. It's always going to be there, but it's not that I think the AV people are concerned about falling underneath IT, but they're always yelling, well, an IT person is not doing my job. And
No, they're
that's
not.
where I'm saying is different is you are an IT person. Just
Right.
like, yeah, a network guy is not going and installing a desktop,
Mhm.
but they're both IT people. Yes, a lighting guy is not doing your soundboard, but you're both AV under IT.
Mhm.
So no
Mhm.
IT help desk people are not coming to take your AV job, but you are a tech, IT tech.
that's
All right, Rich.
very yeah. Go ahead, Rich. Yeah. What's your insight on this?
Well, I think the evolution's been out of necessity. Let's take, if we look at, let's just take digital signage as a really simple, easy example. 10 years ago, IT said I don't touch digital signage.
Mhm.
It's the AV guys. Actually, it was the marketing guys. It wasn't
Yeah,
even
it
the
was
AV guys, the
marketing.
marketing guys.
Yeah.
Better.
And then AV said, oh, wait a second, we've got to get involved. And then IT said, well, wait a second, it's touching our network. Oh, it's touching security. It's this.
Mhm.
Now you fast forward to today, and how many digital signage platforms do not use either Azure or AWS or Google
Mhm.
Cloud or some form
Mhm.
of cloud, right? So
Right.
that's introduced a whole new level. You take
Yep.
that. The second piece is some of the largest resellers, and I call them resellers or integrators, doesn't matter. The largest deliverers of Google Chrome environment are the AV integrators, and they're selling Chromebooks.
I know.
Mhm. Yep.
Years ago, they would go nowhere near a laptop. They,
Mhm.
well, I go, no, it's a Chromebook. I go, no, it's a laptop.
Mhm.
It's the same idea, right? So you've had that evolution. Then you take companies that have changed their side of the world, like a CDW, who was very much an IT integrator and delivery of IT equipment. Now they're selling integration services,
Yep.
Crestron programming, all of these things.
Yep.
It's out of necessity because
Well, not
what we've
Crestron.
seen, well, some different types of programming.
Yeah.
But the key
Mhm.
thing that we've seen is it's been an evolution out of necessity. You can no longer be a jack of one trade. You can't just go in and say, this is all I do. Because next to you, there's another person over here saying, oh, I can do that. Plus I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. All that being said, there still is, I hate to use the term a niche, but there still is a niche in the AV world, and there's still a niche in the IT world. Those niches haven't crossed yet. Where you find a lot of that niches in the IT world is going to be the heavy software development, the building of applications, all of that stuff. Not programming. I'm talking about pure, true software development. That's still kind of over here. And on the AV side, you're going to get more of the true hardcore programming, integration of code, control systems, and all of that stuff. Those two are still a little separate, but what we're seeing though is because out of necessity, everybody at home, I mean, who doesn't have some type of smart device, Alexa, whatever, that's doing some things for them? It's creating applications, right? Well, now it's simplifying the process. Now AV integrators are doing more of this and IT is doing this. And I think we're going to continue to see that. I wouldn't be surprised if, in the next 5 years, maybe we get rid of the argument of AV versus IT, and it's really tier 1 versus tier 2. Tier 1 being the guys who can do everything, and tier 2 are the ones who maybe can't do everything you need, but they can do more of a specialty type
The
of
specialists. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I
So
like
wait,
how
so
you,
are-
I
so
like
wait,
how you shifted my thinking. Yeah,
So
no,
are we-
that's good.
So are we looking at possibly the end of the classification of AV?
No, I think it's still going to be there, but I think what you're going to see is, I mean, here's the struggle I run into. The term AV, audio visual, everyone forgets about the audio aspect. They all think about the visual aspect. They think about the control. They think about all this. They forget about audio. Audio still is very unique and very different. If you go into a traditional IT integrator, they don't know audio. They know computers, they know programming, they know cloud, they know how to plug in a display. Audio is a different world for them. And even in the digital signage community, I mean, if you go to, when you used to go to DSE, you go to the digital signage area at Infocom, how many audio companies do you see there? Pretty much a zero, unless you're a manufacturer like a Sony or Panasonic or whoever has an audio component, but it wasn't really a focus of ours, right? That I still think audio is a big, I don't want to say equalizer, but it's a big differentiator because IT doesn't understand that aspect of the world because they aren't musicians.
True, that's true. I was going to say my crossover is thinking that now that we're having more IP based telephone systems, that the IT guys have to know some sort of audio.
Yeah, I think Rich made an excellent point. So audio is
I agree.
audio.
I agree. Yeah.
Audio is audio, right? There's no changing the physics of it. You can't change physics. It's basic physics.
So when Tim says that, can we say LOLOL Yeah, whatever. No, the IT people are not gonna freaking be audio guy. We're not even audio
Well,
people. and
okay,
we're
okay, wait a
video
minute, wait a minute.
experts.
Wait a minute. I would like to propose that there's a lot of room for higher quality audio to be produced in all these platforms and all the ways that audio are being redone.
May
Because
we, mademoiselle? I agree.
yes, because
Yes.
audio makes such a difference in the experience.
Ab-
But it also is
Well, we
heavy.
Bad
said-
audio is like a bad smell. It's really
It also adds overhead to the network too.
well,
Yeah, but here's the
surge
thing on audio.
Oh, come on, the network
power
can handle it.
conditioning until you get a
But here's the
lightning
thing-
strike.
But here's the thing on audio. This
You
is the
know?
key thing about audio. Is so if I build an experience, I don't care what it is. If it's a digital sign, a kiosk, a wayfinder, it don't matter.
Mhm.
The first level of the experience is the content.
Right.
You've got
Oh,
the content
content
that's
is
showing,
king.
right?
Yes.
Content is
Yep.
king. Well,
Right.
in a lot of cases, I actually think content, and a very good friend of mine, John Nine, used to say content is a prime minister.
John Nye.
King
Yes.
is
I
all
like
the
Prime
data.
Minister better. Yeah.
King is data. It's analytics. It's all of the back end stuff to tell you what you're doing.
Right.
But content, was your first level. The second level is how did you interact with that content? Was it a touch screen? Was it a mobile device? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
The third, which is the piece that everyone forgets about, is the audio element.
Mhm.
Because you can have the best visual experience. If you added audio to that, that's very good. That
It
experience
helps it stick.
quadruples.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's
that's how it
emotion.
is.
Audio equals
Exactly.
emotion.
Well, it's also
Exactly.
a learning.
I'm gonna
it's also
play.
a
I'm gonna
learning
play devil's
things.
advocate
It's-
here for just one thing.
Oh,
though.
Okay.
oh.
But
I mean,
can
it-
you do
okay.
it with a sad love song in the background,
Yeah.
Frank? I'm
I
I
just
don't, I don't
asking
have
for
the.
a
I don't have
friend.
the.
We all
I
have
don't
to
have
hum,
the
we all have to hum.
injector to put that in there.
So the point is, like, I know we're saying that IT doesn't really have the skill set on the audio side of things, and guess who understands that? They do. And how do you think they're solving that?
Stop.
They rely on AI. So
Yes.
you're seeing the proliferation of AI into the UC platforms. Cisco, all the major players are buying huge AI companies. So
Mhm.
what they're doing is, at the end of the day, what your talented DSP programmer does on his DSP with his code, and AI is able to, because what is
Mhm.
AI really? It's
Mhm.
processing data. So yes,
Right.
data is critical, and
Mhm.
they have a solution for that. So the point is, technology is growing, and it is out of necessity. I'm going to quote Rich
Mhm.
out for that, because when they feel there's a need for better audio, and
Mhm.
if they're saying, I don't want to hire a DSP guy, I don't want to build a DSP,
Mhm.
I'm gonna work on my AI and AI as a platform. One
Or-
of the best noise cancellation systems, by the way,
Mhm.
one that you can actually have a lawnmower right next to you and you wouldn't even know that it's there, is by NVIDIA. NVIDIA graphics card loaded onto your
Mhm.
PC. It has a
Mhm.
software. Switch it on,
Mhm.
and you will hear crystal clear audio.
Well,
So-
and actually, yeah, and you're absolutely right, Frank, because so there's another division within Rutgers that does. They're the Enterprise Infrastructure Telecommunications Group. or
Are you
something like that.
friends
I
with
forget-
them? Are you
Yes, I-
friends?
yes,
Did
we
you
are
reach across
friends.
the aisle? All right,
Yes, we
good.
reached across the aisle. Well, actually, they
Awesome.
reached over. They reached over to us because
Boom,
we had the answers.
chakalaka.
Right, because they do. Because part of what they do, they're responsible for the Zoom servers, for the WebEx
Ah.
servers, for the and they
You're
were
like,
all hard. They
Me
yeah, so
thinks
they
we
were all-
know people at Zoom,
Yes.
Tim says.
so they came to us because we have all the audio solutions. And they were
Awesome.
very reliant on their Cisco hardware and things like that. And
Sure.
so they were asking us for answers on different things, but where they always fell short was on the audio. And what they
Yeah.
relied on things like Nareva, STEM, like anything
Mhm.
that's plug and play where they don't have to think
Right.
about it.
Okay.
Right, right, right.
And you know what,
That's what
that
they're going
segues into the point that I want to make.
How
Go ahead,
good.
Murphy.
Make that
AV
point.
Woo. AV is and what all these Infocom and whatever, all these people come together and they say, well, we do this part and we do that part, and you all come together
Mhm.
and you create an AV system. Great, right?
Right.
Well, IT, as it is consumed by the end user, is also that way. Like, put in this cloud app, put in this app, and put in all these
Mhm.
things. And it's not just, phones
networking
and computers anymore. It's
or computers. Yep.
all the things. It's all these things, and the computer is and it's also what's on your phone and the Chromebook, which is basically a slim thin client to go way retro. But all these things. So these apps are coming together, and AV is joining the cloud of apps.
Mhm.
Well,
Right,
think-
and
That's how
that's
it
and you're
works.
seeing that,
Yep.
and you're seeing that with like groups like Biamp and Sennheiser, who are starting to get into the whole app-based audio and things like that, network audio, and so you're seeing that. So I agree,
Mhm.
Murphy, with
You
that
have to.
definitely.
I think
So,
a thing we've got to
Rich, yeah.
remember is the 10 years ago it was all about the hardware. And that's hard to hear from a hardware company. I work for Sony.
I know.
It's hard to hear that, right? Everything was
Agreed.
about the hardware. Now today, everything is about the connectivity and the interaction.
Yep.
And
Right.
that's where the cloud comes in. That's where apps come in. That's where
Yep.
control software comes in. That's where interoperability, all of those things are more important because honestly, if we think about 10 years ago, an AV integrator would go in and program a room. Well, who owned the Crestron codes or the Kramer codes
Yes.
or the AMX
Right.
codes? Who owned them? The integrator did, right?
Kramer didn't
Now-
even have
Unless
codes.
you were high, unless
Yeah.
I always stand by, unless you're
Yep.
in higher ed always
Yes.
owns the code. So
Yes.
They were the only ones, but every
Yeah,
other
we were the
vertical.
only ones.
No,
Yep.
Rich is so right though.
But
Mhm.
but look at what's changed now because we've built, all of us manufacturers have built our RS-232 codes, our Cat5 controls. We've made them so easy to use that you can just deploy a system to it, right? Now it's more about interoperability, software, engagement, cloud services, microservices, all the stuff that an AV integrator 3 years ago didn't even talk about, let alone 5 years ago.
I know. And I would never do a shameless plug where I talked about how Kramer Control seamlessly interoperates with Sony displays because that would just be horish and horrible and
Good
just
friend
not
that still hates
representative the
them.
quality individual I am. But yet we do. And I love that. And it actually allows for a seamless integration and gives me a chance to work with RV, which is always an honor and a pleasure. So I digress.
So
Friends,
the
I
biggest
must
thing-
step away. Thank you for
Yes,
being
yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Murphy.
Thank you,
Mwah.
Murphy.
Enjoy
Yeah.
it. Let me know how it
Bye.
goes. Which wins.
The biggest
Thank you.
issue I'm seeing is AV people want to hold on to that experience. And I understand the experience is definitely key.
No, we get
But
it.
this pandemic showed something. This is where I think AV people are scared of IT is this pandemic showed we have as a society able to adapt quickly. And sometimes good enough is good enough. And IT people are about that, like the SEM
Yeah.
audio, like Frank was talking about. where they're
Humans are like
plug-
that.
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
plug and
Yeah.
play, get it going.
Right.
And yeah, you will have your folks who go around and afterwards upgrade. But I
Mhm.
think that's where AV manufacturers are really hurting is again, I'm not knocking them. I understand the price tag, but like these ceiling microphones, they're all
Mhm.
great. And then you hear the price tag of $3,000,
I
$5,000
know.
for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
microphone.
Oh.
Like I can't spend that much in a classroom. Like,
Mhm.
and then most classrooms need 2 or more.
Yep.
So that IT is like, yeah, I'm not spending that much money for a microphone. I can go to Amazon and pick up a portable PA system for
Oh,
$30.
Oh,
Well,
I've
yeah, and you know
never
what's
been
funny,
so
that's-
excited. Fries went out of business, y'all, because I got so sick of hearing that for 20 years. I'm
Yeah, I was
sorry.
gonna say we got guys that are down in the Camden campus, and they are like sold on. I don't even remember what the name of the company is that makes. these
They're
microphones.
slummers,
but
and
they're
they're
like-
like, we
they got-
found this on Craigslist.
Well,
You're
yeah, like on Amazon for like
"Grr."
$300, and it's this microphone that's like this big. And like we tested it. We bought one. We checked it out.
Oh, nice.
Terrible.
No,
It's like-
I had one where our help desk, that's what they went. They went with a portable PA system. It was a headset with you hang the speaker around your neck.
Oh,
And
nice.
it sounded
That's awkward.
horrible. As an
Was it
person
Pile?
who knows
Was it
audio,
Pile?
I know
That
it.
pile.
Yeah, I'm like,
Not
this
only
sounds
does it
horrible.
look weird and horrible, it also
But our
sounds
faculty members-
horrible.
Our
That's
faculty
awesome.
members had
And,
no
and
problem
the
with
instructors hated it. The
No,
instructors
they, no,
hated
yeah.
they had no problem.
all the
No,
ones I had, they
really?
hated it.
Yeah,
Oh, they
loved
they
it.
never liked those. Yeah.
Yeah, they loved it.
But-
They like, oh, this is great. And then
Really?
we did have one faculty member
That's
who
awesome.
then laughed at them and said, "No, I want a real mic." And that's when
Then
AV
no, are
had to
y'all-
step in.
So do y'all not know what Pro AV looks like? Hello, I'm not hanging
Nope.
some
But again,
boom
it's
box on
that
my
they
neck.
Well,
want-
and then
they want
when the
the simple
instructor
they
has
want
a big necklace, and it bangs and clangs and everything.
Well, and
But-
they can hear themselves.
Yes.
That's the thing.
and
they
they
don't
want your
understand.
simple solution.
Yeah. And they
And
want to
we all
hear
hate our
themselves.
own voices. There's some syndrome somebody in Pro AV told me about. Yeah, where I'm
I
like,
think
yeah,
it all
yeah, I
goes
hate my
back to instant gratification that this generation has now, right? And they think I can go do this, I can have it
yes.
tomorrow,
Mhm.
and I can have. I don't really care what the back end
But it's
ramifications.
hard. That's, I mean, kind of that's what I love, you know. I mean, that's why I got out of cabling.
What I will throw out here is, the opposite part of the argument is, where does AV or Pro AV have that strength over IT?
Adding value.
And that's a big piece of it right there. It's the value. You mentioned, James, about the audio. I mean, Sony, we make beamforming microphones that go in ceilings. There's a
Yep.
reason you deploy them. It's the audio quality. It's all those different things. So
Yep.
if we start talking about high flex rooms and these rooms that are going into
Yep.
schools and a corporate, where they are recording the audio, they've got distance learning. And, if you're going to charge a student the same amount of tuition, whether they're sitting in the classroom or sitting at home, you've got to give them the exact same experience.
When there's
And that is
lawsuits,
where-
Disagree, but when
Okay.
you're looking at a cost of a classroom
Mm-hmm.
before the pandemic was,
Mhm.
we were spending, I would say, roughly 10 grand.
Mhm.
And that's not
Sounds about
including
right.
them. Yeah, not including the microphone, because we didn't put microphones
Yep.
in the classroom.
all right,
10
10
grand.
grand per room was like kind
Per
of your
room.
budget.
Mhm.
Yeah,
right?
that's the
And
whole thing.
did that include your labor, or was your
No.
labor just kind of
because
that's
we're
already
all,
absorbed?
We're all in house, so it's
right,
all,
right, right. Okay,
So
cool.
10 grand
In-house
for equipment.
integrators. Cool.
Mhm.
And now you're telling me now I actually brought that price down from about 20 grand. We were spending
Nice.
15 to 20
Bravo,
grand.
sir.
We brought it down
Yeah.
to 10. And now you
Mhm.
want me to bring it back up to 13 to 15 to add a microphone?
Yep.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, Rich. Trust me.
Yep.
As an
Yeah.
AV person, I 100% understand what you're saying with the quality of the audio. But if I can get even a third of that quality and my users are satisfied, I'm only paying $30 for it. Even if it breaks within 6 months,
Mhm.
I can buy another one or even 10
No,
before I
no,
reach.
no. I
Right.
hear that.
Well,
too.
and
But
that's,
but here's
that's
the,
it's
the
the
one thing I'll say
expectation.
though. Yes, part of it's that expectation, because I can, one of the conversations we had with one of our schools
Mhm.
that we work with, they actually said the exact same conversation you're having. But one of the things they came back with is they are going to X% of their environment is high flex. So they're going to have X amount of their students working remotely, right? They're now competing against colleges they never had to compete against because they also have
Mhm.
high flex. So now if I'm a student who's being charged, or a parent who's being charged $20,000 a year for my kid to go to school, am I going to want to go with the
Wait,
school
I'm
that's
sorry.
gonna give
What
the best
community
audio?
college are you working with, Rich? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just using a number. I'm just using a
Oh,
number.
I know
But-
what Rich is
but-
getting at.
Let's
mean,
use a
but the-
5.
the-
Let's put it
Yeah,
around
the
5,
argument that you
50,000.
run into now is competitiveness against other colleges for
Yes,
the students,
absolutely.
right?
Right.
And so that's a big thing that I mean, this is an interesting time for schools. You're competing in a world that you didn't compete against a year or 2
Mhm.
years ago. I mean, think about it. All of us when like things like a University of Phoenix or Capella College and so on
Yep.
and so forth. we all
Western
looked at that saying,
Governors.
yeah, we looked at that and said, well, that's not the same.
Right.
Why are we competing against it? Now we're going, wait a second, they got the tech right years ago. Now all the
Yes.
schools are trying to catch
Now
up.
we're
to
playing
it.
catch
And-
up.
Oh, and the Ivy
Yeah.
League
Yeah.
kids, their parents are pissed that they paid. There's lawsuits against all these Ivy League colleges, right? That they paid 50 to plus K per year. And no, it was not the same experience. So that's also a burden and a litigious thing. And I'm sorry for that. But no, Rich has made a very, very good point
Yeah.
about how the playing field, one of Sony's partners here in Houston, and they've been a long time kind of a DevOps partner, if you will. You know, they see a lot of stuff, is Rice University. And it's just been so
Mhm.
interesting because that's really how I looked at Sony from a Pro AV perspective, you know, because for me, Sony was a Walkman. I was like, what? Right? I'm sorry, I'm a child of the 80s. Don't judge. You
No,
young
no, I
people.
knew the Walkman. I didn't. I
You've
had
heard
one.
of it? You've heard of it?
I had one. I had a Walkman.
Well, I had the yellow one that was waterproof.
Oh, the
Tim,
waterproof.
so, all
Ooh,
right,
the
I'm
sport one.
winning.
Ooh.
But no, the challenges are amazing. Even with a university like Rice University, that's a Sony partner. You know, in Houston, we got lucky. For some reason, enrollment went up. I have no idea why, but like everybody tried to enroll in college. Some failed. Our community college system, HCC. Yeah, I had friends that had to tell me this because my friends at HCC didn't. They signed up anyone and everyone. They didn't have enough teachers. They didn't have enough classes. They didn't have the bandwidth. Literally, school started and students didn't even have their class schedules because no students, no teach. Right. So,
Right.
but no, Rich brought
And
up
those-
some really good points.
And the schools that were the most successful are the ones that teamed up with their IT guys.
Yep.
Made sure the bandwidth was good, that the infrastructure was good.
Yes.
The fact that we made friends with the guys at EITC, that was huge because we
Game
were on
changer.
top of everything.
Yes.
And that's where the pandemic really taught us that
Yeah.
those relationships, that convergence, that was the word I had used about a month or so ago when we talked about this. That convergence is what is happening, and we're becoming
totally.
merged,
So-
and it's been happening, yes, for 10 years, as
Yeah.
we've been saying, but now it's the time that we need to acknowledge that this is the way it is, and that
Yeah, and James, I'm
We're-
not trying to downplay your comments
Oh,
either.
I know,
mean,
trust
Oh,
me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hear that from customers all the time. And
Yeah.
even when we talk about displays going in a classroom and they're saying, well, I can just go buy a TV and it does this. And we go, okay, but here's my question back. And you start having those comments of, do you need this? Well, yeah, I do. Okay, well, you can't get that over here. Do you need this? Yes, I do. Right. And audio to me, and here's the thing, I was at NEC for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I didn't play in the audio space. I didn't play in the
Congratulations,
PTZ space,
the way.
right?
Yeah.
Thanks. I was all about video side, right? And so I've been with Sony almost a year, and I've learned so much about the differences in PTZ cameras, the differences in beamforming microphones,
Yeah.
the difference in when you're looking at BRC cameras versus SRGs, and all of this stuff. And my first month, I looked at everybody like they were speaking a whole new vocabulary I never heard of before. But the more I learned about it, I started understanding why. And that why is what separates AV and IT, right? It's that why and understanding how it's used and why it's used this way. That's where IT has a long ways to go to still catch up to AV.
Well, I don't think they have a long way to catch up with AV. What they need to do is see us as equals. And what Tim was saying, during this pandemic, the AV went to the IT, make sure the network and stuff was there. But you know what? Also at my university, the IT came to me, the AV side, to make sure the audio was there. Like they were pitching some of these cheap solutions, and they would come to me like, do you think this will work to do in-room and Zoom at the same time? And we would show demo and no, and we came to an agreement. Trust me, if I had the budget, I would be putting ceiling mics in every room.
Yeah.
We don't have the budget. So we had to
Right.
come with
Yeah, right.
guys,
We wish.
the cheap ones that you get consumer grade, but aren't as high as the ceiling mics. So we did come up with a compromise that actually was an AV driven because the audio quality was important there.
Yep.
And that's where us AV folks are the expert, the SMEs.
Yep.
And then we have to
Yeah.
rely on the network guys to be the SMEs on the network and the database to be SMEs on the database. AV guys should not be doing a database. DBA should
Right.
not be doing micro-
Yes. I
Like,
know.
work as a team and understand and talk to each other.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's also been the biggest struggle and biggest opportunity during the pandemic. I've heard it from so many schools that I've talked to where they've said prior to the pandemic, IT and AV didn't even know who each other was.
Right.
IT focused on the computer labs, the kiosks, anything that had a computer. And then I'd always laugh and I say, you do realize digital signage has a computer, right?
Right. I know. Hello.
Yep.
But you're right, it forced,
No.
it forced
Yeah.
that situation, right? It forced it to happen.
did.
Like that.
Mhm.
It did.
But no matter
Yeah.
what, I mean, I've been
Go ahead.
reading all the articles, the for and the against. And I mean, it's not black and white, it's more of a blurred
Mhm.
line. But at the end of the day, there has to be a handshake, no matter what your opinion is. There has to be a handshake of some sort.
Great
Because if you
point,
don't have the
Renee.
guys Behind the scenes, pushing it to the AV guys who are pushing it to the user experience, it's all kind of one flow, no matter whether you like that or agree with that or not, it is what it is. But
Well, it has to, Renee.
It
And I
has
think I've always told salespeople when you're doing a project and I'll go back to digital signage because it's such an easy conversation, or we'll do video conferencing, doesn't matter. When you have that conversation, you need to make sure that IT, facilities, AV, marketing, finance, every possible stakeholder has to have an understanding of the impact to their business. And that's when it goes all the way back to your strategic plan. You're building out your plan, you're defining it, you're defining your stakeholders. And everyone's got to remember that there are so many stakeholders in what that one piece of equipment that can go in your business opens up.
And didn't we
Mhm.
learn this lesson many, many years ago? I mean, how many walkthroughs have you ever been on where you're walking through and you're placing where your projector or display is going to be, and the architect put this row of lights right in front of
Yep.
the whiteboard or whatever? I
Oh,
mean,
Are
we
we
have
gonna
to
start
learn
talking
from them
about
and we
wall
get work together.
sconces? Are
All
we
right,
gonna
well,
talk
let's-
about me whipping some
well, let's-
ash on the Woodlands Township Council and their wall sconces?
And we
All right,
should
well,
have-
let's
Where
not
my
get too
fixed
far.
screens were? Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's try to
yeah.
get let's
We'll-
try to
we'll dial
get
that
not
back.
into the construction thing too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, but
There's a whole episode.
they're
Yeah, exactly.
interiors people. They don't mean to be bad people.
We all need to
can't-
hold hands. That's all I'm trying to say.
They
Let's
want
keep
wireless
Right.
power. We're with them.
yeah,
We
Yep,
we
want
all
it
need to
too.
hold hands.
By
Yeah,
the
we
way,
got-
in your
yeah.
renderings, can you show some chords and stop being such elitist? Thank you. Hashtag AV lives matter. I mean,
AV li-
seriously, like it's so weird. I'm actually with a couple of friends that we are trying to figure out, because AV people get asked about, or IT, I'm sorry, architects get asked about AV and then they talk, but they don't speak from a place of knowledge.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know you can go pay the AIA, blah, 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 for continuing education's credits, and then buy a bunch of people lunch that they want to absorb. I'm not really interested in that. I just would like to empower these people to find out, what do you need to know so you don't sound like an idiot? Also to help you make some kind of quasi rough order of magnitude informed decisions. And so I do. I have a small group of people that's what we're working on.
Mhm.
They got it started. It stalled because I got busy with work and I have to work on my paying job first. But that is something we're working on because we do want to solve that problem. You're never going to make architects think they're not better than you. We know
Right.
that. So we have to
But yeah,
own that. They love it. They're superior. It's fine. I don't care. Be
Right.
superior,
Yep.
superior. How can I make you not torture me less and not eliminate the telecommunications closet? I'm just going
Right.
there.
and it's going to be all about communication and
Yeah.
making sure that we all stay on the same page and
Yeah.
everything. But that whole, we could talk about architecture nightmares on a whole another episode by itself. So but I think we're gonna start tailing it off here. I think we've definitely, I think as Aaron said, I think we were already beating a dead horse, and I think this horse is.
Did we make glue?
Yeah,
Were we
I think
successful?
I think we
Have
have
we
gotten
successfully
glue.
made AV glue?
We made AVIT glue that we are gonna stick each other together with, and because that's what's gonna end up happening anyhow. So I'm gonna first thank Frank, because I know he's gotta head on out and hit that old dusty New Jersey trail, as it were. So Frank, thank you very much for joining us again, and your insight is invaluable as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
if you
so
wanna
much. Thank
let
you.
the
And congratulations as the
yes,
new
congratulations on the
leader
gig.
of the
Yeah.
Avixa Diversity Council, Frank. I'm
Oh,
really
and
looking
that
forward to
too,
working
yeah.
with you. Yeah.
Congrats, Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Oh,
Thank
we
you.
got
Thank
AV
you.
I signed up.
AV Tweeps moving on up.
Oh, did you? Love you, Renee. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you don't mind, just let the folks know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter most of the time. What? How do you call it? My Twitter @ is Frank
Handle.
Your
Patacal.
handle.
My Twitter handle. Yeah, my Twitter handle.
He
is
didn't have a
Frank
CB
Patacal.
radio, Tim.
I did-
He
I
doesn't
did.
know. He doesn't know what it's
Spence.
called.
I did not. You can also find me on LinkedIn and reach out. We can always talk technology. I just love talking technology. So
Yes, he does.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Frank. Thank you very much for joining
Thank you.
us.
thank you.
Michelle, thank you as always. Your voice was definitely heard tonight, and we appreciate that. And your always your insight and wisdom as well. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Let the podcasting world know where they could find you regular, maybe irregularly or regularly, however,
Yeah,
you're out there. Go ahead.
it's fine. I
Great.
love y'all.
You did
Y'all are
great.
the
You did
best.
great.
No, don't follow me. Don't do anything I do. I'm doing my own thing, and I'm here to just help other people. So that's my life. There you go.
Well,
Love y'all.
Thanks, Michelle. And Mr. Rich Ventura, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good being with you.
Yes, definitely. Always a pleasure, sir. If you don't mind letting the our listening audience know where to find you.
Definitely, on Twitter, it's at the Rich Ventura, and then also Sony Pro.
All right. Well, thank you, Rich, and thank you to the crew. Murphy had to drop off, as you guys heard, and James,
Love
thank
her.
you, sir. We missed you last week,
James
so thank
the
you,
man.
James.
Oh yeah, that guideline came out and my phone blew up with coaches.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Good, James.
DC missed the recording.
Yeah, it sounded like a good one.
And you can of course find James on higheredav.com and his article there, which we quoted tonight, and you can read the whole thing there. Thank you, Renee, for as always a pleasure, Renee.
Love being here. Thank you to all
Yeah.
our guests.
Yes, and Spence, thank you as well. I'm giving everyone individual thank yous tonight because I feel
Well, I
like
appreciate
that needs to be said.
You
so-
are just a gratitude-filled
Yeah, that's right.
individual. One
Well,
of the
that's why I
many
I
things
feel
we
like-
love about you.
after these last 15 months, I think
I know.
16 months, we need to tell everybody how we feel about them.
I
and,
do.
we
I tell everyone how
so-
much I love them. They're
so,
awesome.
so Spence, thank you so very
Well,
much.
I enjoyed being with everybody as always. It's good seeing my old friend and mentor, Rich Ventura.
Yes.
We don't get to see each other as much, but
Oh, I
hopefully
love
we
y'all
are coming up.
together.
Yeah, we're hoping that the Digital Signage Federation is going to be up in that neck of the woods here this summer. And I hope to see everybody there. You'll be hearing more of that. You can find me at WVUSWG on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, and I think there's already a sign. I'm coming out.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm going to a
Yeah.
70s disco vibe.
Yeah,
and
let's
I
not. Yeah,
love it.
no
Love
dance
it.
part.
That's right.
It's too late in the episode for a dance party at this point, so we're gonna. Well, again, thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to our guests and to the crew, and until our next adventure.